interviews. The first one is the, oh, let me go ahead and start it here. You guys able to see the screen? Yes?
Yep.
Yes.
Hold on.
Yes, we see.
I'm supposed to start here. Here you go. The Oreo method and the panel interview. Okay, I'm going to talk a little bit real quick about each of those. The panel interview is when you get interviewed by more than a couple of people, like 3 or 5 people. They're recruiting people or managers, and you'll be conducting an interview with them for around 45 or 60 minutes. And okay, I'm gonna be. Oh, by the way, before I get started, let me go ahead and let you know that. I'm sorry. Oh, I was trying to read the chat. There you go. I'm gonna go back to the screen. Yes. Okay, here we started again. Let me see if there's a way I can see the chat here. I don't see it. I'm sure somebody asked a question. So if you have a question, I'll try to read the chat and keep an eye on the chat, or you can voice your questions if you have them. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go through the interview. I may ask for your participation, or if time doesn't allow it, I'll continue by myself. So we'll talk about those 2 techniques. I may include a couple of other experts on the topic. Not very long videos, just short videos. Give you the tips that they recommend. And maybe I'll finish with the, if we have time, I'll finish with a case scenario in which we'll discuss a hypothetical that turns into a situation in which you combine the STAR technique we saw a couple of sessions ago and the Oreo technique. Yes, here I can see the chat now. And there you go. Well, somebody is talking to Philip. Okay, never mind. I'll leave the chat open here. So let's go ahead and get started. As I was saying, yes, the panel interview involves a candidate sitting across from 3 or more hiring managers and meeting with them all at once in a 45 to 60-minute interview. Yes? Okay. Let's see if I can also get the participants here. Okay. So what are some tips? We're going to talk about some tips. It says here that the panel might include your potential supervisor, human resources people, representatives, or other decision makers. Yes. Now, it's recommended that you identify, if possible, who the interviewers are going to be, their backgrounds, their positions in the company, and prepare questions in advance so you can ask them and you don't freeze up. A lot of people, when they are faced with this type of interview, it can be nervous. You're not to get nervous. Yes, we prepare. Yes, we prepare. Yes. Okay. Well, before that, here. Yes. Let me go ahead and stop sharing this interview here. Like Shark Tank. Yeah, pretty much. It can be very intimidating. So what do we do for that? Let me go ahead and close the screen here and share this little nugget of very, I thought, very valuable piece of advice. So let's see, best techniques. Here we go. So what do we do? Because like I said, a lot of people freeze. Yes. I get back to the Zoom and share the screen. Here you go. Yes. Pay attention to what he says. If you have a question, please interrupt me. I'll stop the video or wait until the end, and I'll ask you what he said to evaluate your comprehension. Feel free to participate. It won't take longer than 5 minutes. I think it's less than 4, but according to my calculations, around 4 minutes. So pay attention. We'll check the audio here, and let's pay attention to what he says. Don't worry, if you don't understand something, I'll be happy to rephrase or paraphrase what he said. Okay.
Now, the reason, I'll tell you right off the bat, I mean, the reason that you are freezing up in a panel interview is because you're not prepared with what you're going to say. You think you're prepared. You think you're ready to talk about your past experiences, but you haven't prepared yourself. And that's the biggest mistake everybody makes. They walk into this interview thinking, well, you know, they're going to ask me questions about my experience, so I'll just go ahead and, you know, just talk about whatever comes to mind. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to think about ahead of time what you're going to talk about. And the best way to get prepared and to talk about all of your experiences is to think about them ahead of time. You see, we store all of our work experiences in our long-term memory. Our long-term memory very haphazardly stores things. It might take 5 pieces of information from one project and store it in just all kinds of crazy places. It's a mess. If you're a programmer or you know anything about databases, it would be like an unindexed brain. That's what your long-term memory is. It's just a hole where all kinds of information is. And you think you're going to walk into an interview and just be able to selectively pull out all these pieces of information from your long-term memory and talk about it in a very calm manner and explain all the things that you did and what went right and what didn't go right. No, it doesn't work that way. I mean, maybe you could do that if you were sitting down having coffee with a friend, but now you're sitting down with 5 people in suits who are not your friends. It kind of raises the bar a little bit, makes you a little bit more nervous, makes the whole thought process kind of go a little slower, like molasses in the winter. It's just, the brain just isn't moving. So what you need to do, what you must do, is you need to rewrite all of your experiences ahead of time. So you need to go through, and you got to do this. You got to get out a sheet of paper. You got to get a pen, and you got to go through. You got to write out what we did in step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Break it down into 4 phases. On this project, in phase 1, this is what we did. Phase 2, this is what we did. Start filling in the blanks. As you go through this once, and let's say you re-remember a project from a year ago, and you start filling in all those blanks, more information is going to come to you. You're like, oh, wait a minute, we did this too. Oh, wait, and we did this. And you keep filling more blanks, filling more blanks. This might take you a couple hours, but it's worth it. Believe me, it's worth it. So here's what's happening. As you're re-remembering everything, you're organizing your thoughts in your long-term memory. You're transferring those over into your short-term memory. Now, your short-term memory is totally different. It's very well indexed, it's quick, it's fast, and it can talk about anything at any given time, and it can shift gears very, very quickly. Women are very good at using their short-term memory to talk about things. Just rattle, boom, 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 right, 1, 2, 3. That's exactly the position that you want to be in. Because between your short-term memory, it doesn't matter if you're nervous anymore. Your short-term memory is going to work through that. It's going to pull you through that. So those 5 suits out there that are staring at you and they're asking you questions, because you have committed all of your experiences, recommitted them to your short-term memory, you're going to be in a position to talk about all those experiences very succinctly, very quickly. And you're going to be able to pick out exactly what points they want to hear about at any given time. You want to do this first do this for one project and get used to the process. And then go pick 2 or 3 other projects that you plan to talk about that are related to what they are looking for in the job description. Don't re-index or re-remember things that aren't important. Re-remember the things that are. Because if you have 15, 20 years of experience, how are you going to go into an interview and just decompress 20 years of experience in 60 minutes? You can't. It's impossible. You can't do it. And you can't go in there thinking that you're just going to randomly pull out things that they want to hear. Nobody is that good. You can't do it. You just can't do it. You have to think about this stuff ahead of time. Think about those experiences. Even another option here is to pretend you're going to teach something.
Okay, let me stop it there. Stop sharing here so I can see you guys. Very good. Can anybody paraphrase what he said? Basically, summarize it real quick in a couple of sentences, or 3 sentences if you like. Anybody? Was the audio good? Go ahead.
You need to be prepared to the interview, because you don't have time to talk about all your experience, especially if you have more than 10 years. And then nobody can be successful with the panel interview, because you have a little time and it's impossible to say everything.
That's right. It's actually impossible. Well, you have to be a genius, yeah. But he recommends that we, in advance, prepare. If we're going to talk about projects related to the position we're trying to get, and we have different projects, we write about details, and as we're writing them, it'll come to our mind more things, and that won't happen in the job interview. We'll be like freeze. We're like, I'm sure I did something, but we did it this way, and that could affect you, how they perceive you. Like, well, this person is not sure, maybe he's not being honest, etc., etc. So yes, always come prepared. Yes, very good, excellent participation. Moving on, let's continue with the presentation. Let me get back to it. All right, here we go. Now, this other one, let's see, is it working? Yeah, you guys can see it. Yes, transition here. Yes, the Oreo Method. Yeah, we're also going to talk about this Oreo Method. It's a procedure taught to help candidates to provide thoughtful answers that contain fully formed beginnings, middles, and ends. Okay, Oreo stands for opinion, reason, examples. You provide and reinforce your opinion. So with this type of technique, you have to, well, they would probably ask you, what is your opinion on this? How would you solve this? Okay, what is your belief? What is your opinion? And then you have to provide what your opinion is, and then why is that your opinion? Why that is your opinion? You have to tell them, well, I think this because I've done this in the past, or because this psychologist say this is the best way, etc., etc. And then you have to provide an example. Okay, this falls into the category of the STAR method. Now you provide an example. Remember the STAR method we talked about in previous sessions, where you provide a situation, yes, the task you had to do, the actions you took, and the results that you got, yes. So you can combine those, and we're going to do that possibly, if we have enough time, today with one particular example. Okay, so this is another one. You can combine them. Okay, like I said, this method allows you to combine the STAR method to tell a fluid story. The task you were assigned, what the actions that you were going to take, and finishing with the results that you got. Hopefully, you want to mention that it was a positive result. Yes. So you get receive a very positive. You give a very positive impression to the people in the panel of interviewers. Okay, here we have some more interview tips. Let's see if we can get somebody to read them for me. Can anybody read them for me? Yes, number one, number two. Go ahead real quick.
I can. Panel interview wants to introduce the candidate with his future co-workers as well as his boss, and see if it fits into the culture of the group of the company. Recommendation number one: consider each area present: human resources, quality, finance.
Okay, very good. Very good. That, like I said, if you have maybe a supervisor, a manager, or the vice president, and a couple of engineers, be able to identify them. Yes. Okay. If you can know in advance, that'd be great. Sometimes it's not possible, but they'll introduce them, so you can start thinking what questions to ask them. Also, be prepared with questions. Very good. Continue, Miss.
No. Number two, don't be arrogant. Listen and be open to technical questions.
Yes, you don't want to come off as arrogant or I know everything, I don't make mistakes. That's not gonna track. It's not gonna look good. Continue. Number three.
Number three, answer each question for the benefit of your area and the area whose question.
Okay, the area in question. Yes, my spelling there. Anyway, so yeah. Focus on the areas. If you answer a question, what benefit did it bring to that particular area, or that area of the company, or what in the company that you worked for? Yes. Okay, the next one. Don't try
to be funny. It's very risky.
Now this one, yeah, it's risky. Sometimes they can like you if you tell a joke and everybody laughs and it's pleasant, but sometimes people don't like you acting that way in a formal situation. So that's why it says it's very risky. It's recommended not to do it. Continue. Number 5, the last one.
Responding indicators with examples can be applied to the company.
Excellent, excellent. Yeah, respond with examples that can be applied to the company. Yes, mention figures, examples, be specific. Basically what we talked about in the last session. Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing this one. I'm gonna give you another expert who's gonna talk about 2 more techniques in this panel interview, and he'll basically talk about being inclusive. Yes, when they're asking you, you want to include everybody in the panel, and when it's your chance to ask questions, you include also everybody in the panel. Okay, it's about 4 minutes. Let's go ahead and watch it. Yes, let me click in here and put it here on the screen. Okay, so pay attention. This one has subtitles, so in any case, if you have questions, let me know at the end of the video or during the video. If you like, I'll pause it. Okay, let me go back here. Okay. Yes, hopefully everybody can see it. The audio should be good. There you go. We'll start.
Job candidates.
Hold on,
Now,
hold on. Give me a second here. I have a little issue here.
one great thing about a panel interview, as far as your preparation goes, I've already given you all the techniques you need to know as far as how to prepare for a job interview, whether it's the phone screen, an in-person interview with one person, or the panel interview. Your preparation, the steps you should go through, getting your responses in order, getting your questions together, all that stuff's the same. All that stuff's the same. You just got a few more people to research as far as whose backgrounds you need to know, understand a little bit about them and what they do. So there's just a little more homework to do. But when you get in the panel interview, the techniques to make sure that you win it have more to do with inclusion and developing connection with everybody in the room. You want to get everybody in that room to say, we want to hire her. So the way that you do that, there's two techniques. One is when the employer or the interviewers ask you the question. The other one is when you get an opportunity to ask your questions. And all of this is going to be aimed at connecting with everybody and being inclusive. So first technique is when you receive a question, whatever the question is, you want to make sure that you're focusing your response on everyone. The biggest mistake that people make is they lock in on the person who asked the question, or they lock in on the most senior person. You don't want to do that. When somebody asks you a question, regardless of who it is in the session, you want to make sure that your first few seconds or your first 20 or 30 seconds, you're locked in with that person. You're responding to that particular person with your answer, and then you want to move on to the next person or the others, and you want to hold their gaze. You want to make eye contact with them. You want to give them a few or 10 or 20 seconds of your attention with the response, and then you want to move on to the next person. Depends how many people you have. It also depends on if you have people on the audio or on the video as well. Sometimes there can be people in different locations, but you want to make sure that you are making a connection with everybody, and the easiest way to do that when you respond is to hold their attention. Please make sure to do that. That's what fosters that inclusion. That's what fosters that inclusion. Now, when you get the opportunity to actually ask your questions, the biggest mistake that people make is they lock in on their boss or the more senior person, and they tend to ask that individual all the questions. You want to make sure that you have questions that you've identified where you're going to include everybody in the room. Now, if you had a chance to see in advance who's going to be in the room, it should be a lot easier as you prepare your questions. But if you've prepared your questions the way I've outlined in one of my live office hours, which was how to ask your questions in a job interview, you will be ready to cherry pick questions from your list and designate them to the appropriate people. So the trick here is you want to make sure that you ask some questions of the superiors or your direct boss, and you want to ask questions of every other person. If there are people in the session that are holding the same position, for perhaps you're a salesperson and you're interviewing with the vice president of sales and two support engineers who support sales calls and a marketing administrator and so on. If you've got multiple people with the same job title, there's absolutely nothing wrong with asking them a question collectively. So this question is for the engineers. I would love to get both of your opinions on this. That's still inclusive. So the point is just making sure that you're including everybody in your responses and in your queries. So just employ those two techniques. Do everything else the way that I've taught you in the 400 other videos and podcasts and articles that are out there. You'll be in great shape. If you're loving it.
Okay, yes. Somebody asked a question in the chat. Is it normal to know that you're going to have a panel interview? Yes, usually they'll tell you, well, this is going to have this interview. I actually when I was applying for a job in one of the schools, they told me, well, you're going to have this demonstration class, and we're going to have like five other teachers watching the demonstration. So yeah, normally they'll tell you, yes. And to close the activity with the video, can anybody tell me what do you remember from what he said? What techniques did he mention? And have you applied them? Can anybody answer?
The video, we can see two different techniques.
Okay.
When you receive the question, you have to see every people that is in the panel, and when you ask the question, you ask in general question. I mean, and it's different if you specific, for example, a sales people, and instead of to make an open question about, for example, the negotiation or the project manager or something like that. So you need to include and all the people is in the interview.
That's right. Include all the people in the interview. Now, yeah, you can be specific also. Yes, you can say, well, this is for the, you have an engineer here, or what is your opinion on this? You're the vice president. What will be the policy in next year or whatever? And you ask them these types of questions, and try to ask questions of everybody. Yeah, so everybody feels included. Yes, and everybody participates, and everybody feels part of the whole dynamic. Yes, very good. It says, I have a question here in the chat. If they do not introduce themselves at the very beginning, is it fair to say that, may I know your names and roles you're playing in the company? Usually they will actually, if you ask them this question, they'll be probably apologizing. They'll be like, oh, sorry, by the way, this is the CEO, this is my vice president here, here's the couple of engineers. Yeah. Introductions are the first things in their minds. Yes, when you walk into the room, hi, my name is, these are these people. Today we'll be evaluating your responses for the position, etc. So yeah, it's okay to say it. They'll probably, like I said, feel a little embarrassed, but that's fine. Yes. Okay. All right, moving on. So remember, keep everybody inclusive, keep eye contact, and even though you're asking a question of one person, like the expert said in the video, continue responding by looking at the other people in the room. Yes. All right. Moving on. Now with the Oreo technique, let me go back to the presentation. Let's see. Let me get hold of this. Here we go. There we go. So yeah, we got this techniques. Now we talk about the Oreo method. Okay. Let's see. We have time. So if anybody likes to participate and read about the Oreo method, go ahead. Read this couple of paragraphs.
I would like to read.
Go ahead.
The Oreo method helps candidates walk through their stories, reinforcing their experience.
Mm-hmm.
Candidates use this method so that they can provide examples that show their knowledge and experience.
That's right. We do that by giving our opinion, yes, giving the reasons why we believe in our opinion, and giving an example here, yes, telling their story, and you can, like I said, use the STAR method. Okay. Somebody's asking a question in the chat. Hold on. I don't know why I don't see it. What do you? Sorry.
I have a question later or in this moment.
No, it's fine. You can ask it. I'll also read about Lionel. Lionel is asking another question, but you go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Is possible I write in a letter resume, and maybe is you recommended us read this paper when you maybe need?
Okay. You mean in your resume, in your
when you prepare your interview with these tips?
Oh, the tips of the panel interview or the Oreo interview?
The Oreo method, o sea.
Well, yeah, prepare in advance. Definitely prepare in advance. You can actually have notes, but once you have written it, like it'll come, like the guy said in the first video we saw, it'll be in your short-term memory, and you'll be able to answer without having to write it. Oh, what do you believe? Being calm and attentive would help when a customer is very angry, for example, which is the example we're going to see today. Or what would you do in this situation where your coworker is trying to is not doing his job properly, is not caring about his job, and you have to work extra hours to, you know, complete a team task, for example, and you already have those answers when you have written them before and you've thought about them. They'll be in your short-term memory and you'll be able to write them. I suppose it wouldn't hurt if you want to keep them in your notes, but like I said, most of the times you won't need to do that. Okay.
Okay, thanks.
Was that you, Rosaura? No? Okay, and then I have Leonel, I have another question. It says, what do you consider to be the best technique to control your body aspect? Actually, one of the experts mentioned, because you'll be probably bombarded with questions, like one person will ask you a question, how many years have you worked here? 5. And then another person, well, what has been your experience with these types of people? Well, this and this. So you'll get fired up, and he recommends to, if it's going too fast, it can be nerve-wracking, and you may start to lose control of your body. You may have tics or whatever. So he recommends actually maybe having a notebook, yes, and maybe take some notes, or having a bottle of water. Normally they'll probably offer you a bottle of water so you can sip a drink, and that'll calm you down, and you won't be as nervous. And if you're more relaxed, then your body language will not suffer. Yes. That's the one of the best ways to control is if you're not under very stress and you freeze and you don't know what to do. You get nervous and you start dropping things and become clumsy, and it doesn't look good. Yes.
It's a great idea because it's gives you time to think. You know, you take the glass of water and you have a extra time in order to think your answer or all the situation.
Okay, that's right. That's right. But those are the tips that some of the experts recommend. I have Brenda asking another question. Can you please give us some tips to ask for the additional benefits in the company, health insurance? What are the benefits? Okay. All right. Where's the?
Yeah, but
go ahead.
It is not the money, the panel. I mean, it is not the moment to ask for additional benefits.
Okay. Well, yeah, we'll leave those at the end if you like. I'll prepare a sheet and I'll pass it to Filiberto, and with that vocabulary, so you guys can have that, and maybe for a later time once you get the job or whatever. You'll be selected. Do you have any questions? We got the job for you. You've been selected. Do you have any questions about the company? And then you can ask benefit. Okay. All right. Let's continue moving on. So we still have 15 minutes. Let me get back to the presentation. Yes. Hold on, let me share the screen again. Okay, and put it here. Okay, very good. Says opinion. Well, you have to state your opinion. So they'll ask you, well, what would you do in this situation? How would you handle a customer? What is your opinion on what should be done? State your position in relation to the professional experience. And in order to solve relevant issues, yeah, you'll be asked a hypothetical, and you can say, well, this is my opinion. I believe this is the best way. If I were in this situation, I would do thus. Yes. Okay. And then they'll ask you, well, why would you do that? And then you give your reasons. Why is that your opinion? Why do you think that's the best way to go? Okay. Base your responses on activity-based actions. Justify your answer looking for the following results. Well, it saved the company money. It allowed for more customer satisfaction. The customer was very satisfied with that way of handling things, and it resulted in more sales increase. Example, yes. Always they're focusing, what was the result of the? Because they don't know, well, that sounds like a good idea, but maybe it didn't bring the result that you wanted. So you want to provide tangible evidence. Be specific. Okay. And let's see, in this, the E, it stands for, like we said, we've got our opinion and the reasons for our opinion, and now we get to the E, examples. In this part, you explain or support your opinion with an example, with a specific example. What did you do? And if you want to mention more than one example, it's relevant to the topic at hand, whether it's recent and real, and without exaggeration, you'll do fine. So that's right. In this particular part, you can use the STAR method. You can provide an example. This was the situation. That's the STAR. That's the S in STAR. And this was the task I was supposed to do. And my job was to do this. And I did this thing. I did that. And then I did something else. And then what was the result? That's the R. In this part, you can actually pretty much blend the STAR technique. Yes. And well, try to be like we talked about last session. Don't exaggerate. Be honest all the time. But also they don't need to know about negative results in other situations. Just provide an example where you got a positive result. Okay. And finally, just restate your opinion. And again, well, because of this and because we do this, that's why I believe that this is the best way to go. It says share your outcomes or your results of the actions that you took, yes? And that actually reinforces your whole belief system, your opinion, and why you believe that, because you have tangible results. And for this part, actually, this is one of the last parts. I do want to provide another example. Imagine if I'm gonna ask you this, we still have time? Yeah, I still have time. Close here. And I wanna ask the audience here, you guys, what would you do? Let's put a hypothetical here, and then we'll analyze the actual response, sample response. If you were working in a company and you were a salesperson, and you were working in Office Depot or Walmart or whatever, and you have a customer who comes into the store and wants a refund because it wants to return the product that they bought. It can be anything, yeah. But when the customer bought the product, it was on sale, and those products, the company policy states that they cannot be refunded because they got them at a discount, and the customer gets very angry, very irate. Yes, how would you handle that situation, and why would you do that? Why would you act that way? What would you do in that situation, and why would you act that way? Yes, to start the Oreo interview, and if you can provide an example. Yes. Yes, well, we already talked about that question. Tell me about yourself. Well, I'm gonna mention real quick, you should talk about work-related activities or behaviors, yes? But in any way.
Can I ask that question that you made?
Excuse me?
The question that you made about Walmart and all.
Yes.
Can I give an answer?
Yeah, how would you handle a very angry customer who wants to return something, but you cannot help him and you cannot return the product because it's against company policy? Go ahead.
Yes, well, if the policy of the company it's not the money refund, maybe if I have like a electronic credit or something like that, I can invite him to take electronic card or something like that and give the 50% of the money in that card, and that can make me sure that the customer will buy again in the company, and I won't give the money back.
Okay, that'd be great if you could offer that that other card. But what if you can't? Yes. What if you're angry and you're there and you're in the store and you don't have any other? How would you act? Go ahead.
Maybe you first need to know the reason of the customer, because maybe he doesn't know how to use the product, and if you explain it, it's okay. You solve the problem. And explain the customer you cannot refund the money because of he bought through a special sale or something like that.
Okay. What if it gets a little more complicated? The customer starts, no, but you, and this starts becoming more vocal. Yes, that could be. Would you lose your calm? Would you try to yell at him back? And no, sir, you're wrong. Or how would you?
May I suggest
Hi.
something?
Go ahead, Jacobo or whoever was talking.
Yes, sorry. Well, many times the client he wants the answer, solution, not the problem. If you have another colleague store in the city, you can try to looking for this product and try to change this merchandising. If you can to talk with the customer and tell him that you are going to stay at your their home and the next day or 24 hours, but it's like the basic solution while you are trying to resolve with the products or the sources of the product. I mean, or you can to absorb this damage and try to change for another product to will be the similar characters or needs, or they solve the needs of the customer.
Okay, that will be a very courteous way. Like you sacrifice, you take the damage. That's what I understood, Jacobo. Is that right?
Yes, because there is an account in the company that heals or DAs or damage merchandising, and you can absorb that point.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now let's go to the hypothetical and turn it into a very specific example. One of the questions that we didn't get to see in the last session was exactly this one. Let me share it on the screen. Yes. And let's watch a little bit about it. And see if you can identify the opinion of the person, why they think that, and the result. Yes. See if you can identify those three elements. This is the last activity we're going to do, as we're almost out of time. Yes, very short. Yes. You guys see my screen? Question number 5. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
All right. I'll leave the subtitles for this one, or actually no, because it'll be pretty much text.
Can you tell me about a time you had to deal with an irate customer or an irate client? Here's a response. Yes, I can. Recently, I was serving a customer behind the checkout. They had purchased some goods in our winter sale the week before, and they wanted to return them as they were not what they wanted. Now, unfortunately, because the goods were purchased in the sale, they would not be eligible for a refund. I started to explain this to the customer. She immediately began to get irate and angry. I listened to her concerns, but stated calmly that it was company policy to not refund goods purchased in the sale. Now, the customer continued to complain and was becoming even more irate and vocal. I noticed a large queue forming behind her, and so I asked my colleague to take over from me whilst I took the situation away from the till area. After I had listened to the customer, I explained to her in a calm but firm manner that the receipt she had made it clear that sales items were non-refundable. I explained to her that I could understand her frustration, but that there was nothing I could do in this situation to help her, and I apologised for the inconvenience. I explained to her that if I could have helped her, I would. She then began to calm down and accepted my explanation. Now, while she was not completely satisfied, she did leave the shop with an understanding of the situation and why I was unable to assist on this occasion. I believe that by remaining calm, listening to the customer's complaint, and also by taking the conflict away from the other customer's eyes and ears, I was able to resolve the situation as amicably as possible.
Okay. Now, I'll leave this text right there. Can you identify the opinion of this person, what he would do in this situation? What was his way of acting, his opinion? Can you identify it? I think it's in this page. Anybody?
What, excuse me, what does amicably means?
Okay, it means friendly, in the friendliest manner. The most friendly manner. Of course, we don't say most friendly, we just say the friendliest manner. As amicable as possible. Yes?
Okay.
As friendly as possible. Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure, no problem. I believe there was a question in the chat. I'm sorry. It says, I have to step out. Thanks for it. Okay, never mind. I thought it was a question. Somebody has to leave. Never mind. So the belief of the person, his opinion is that people should stay calm. Yes? Listen to the customer. Yes? Okay, try to understand what they're talking about and what their situation is, and tell them that you feel that. Try to empathize with them, right? And because he did that, not only did he do that, he also took the customer away from the queue. The queue is the line of people. So it was disrupting the service. So he took the customer away and listened to the customer, and he kept calm. And that way, conflict was averted, didn't influence or bother the other customers, or even give a bad reputation of the store. And customer if he can help her, or if he's unable to help her. Yes. And then why does he believe this way? Because it worked in the past. Yes. And can you give us some evidence? Yes. And then you give the STAR method. This was the situation. I was this. The customer was complaining about not being able to refund a product. And the results, well, the customer understood. She left. I couldn't break the company policy, but she didn't end up bothering more the other customers. And that's how you combine the Oreo technique with the in the panel techniques with the STAR technique. Sorry, with the STAR technique, you include the STAR technique in the Oreo response when you're asked to provide an example. Then you give the situation, the task, the actions, and the results that you have. Okay, and we're about to finish. We have one more things. We have 3 minutes. Yes, there are some more. We made another question in the chat. I'll leave that till the end. Go over this one. So, well, some more tips. And the person was patient and waited till the client understood. Yes, that's right. You're patient. You're not like, no, okay, can't help you. Go your own way. That's not gonna help the customer. Make sure they calm down and they understand, and then they can leave. Yes, because the customers don't want to waste their time either. Okay, the recruiter is looking for the action and the result. That's right, of your experience. Make sure it's positive. Do you look motivated? Always mention this personally, even if you're in the panel interview. I'm motivated. Throw those words: enthusiastic, positive. Yes. They'll be, of course, looking at if you are enthusiastic, talking about problem issues. Are the actions recommended positive? Do they have a good conclusion? Was the result good? Yes. Are they applicable for the current role you're applying for? Make sure they all relate to the position you're trying to get. Yes. All right. Julio Cesar says, understand the need, insight, calm down, viable solution for both, give motivation, the hard time, be very positive at all times. That's right. Be very positive at all times. And that's it for the presentation. I believe we've finished just in time. Yes. Well, 1 minute to go. This is my information. My name is Carlos. I'm actually a teacher, an English teacher, but I'm happy to talk about this guy so I can help you improve your possibilities to getting a job and doing well in your job interview. Okay, Filiberto, that's all from me. Do you have any more questions, guys?
Thank you, Carlos.
No
thank
questions.
you, Carlos.
Thank you.
I appreciate a lot of your tips and all the things that you are talking about a few minutes ago. Thanks so much, Julio Cesar.
Carlos, could you share your phone number, please?
Yeah,
Or
sure.
do you have a link for your WhatsApp in order to find you quicker?
Yeah, this is my WhatsApp, my phone number. Yes.
Yeah, well, I highly recommend you next time to have a web link to your direct to your WhatsApp number. So they click on it and they already sent you an automatic WhatsApp. I will show you how to.
Okay, sure.
It's easy and it's free. Well,
okay.
Really, I really want to thank your help, and I think everybody likes your classes. So I hope we can have the chance to have you next week, the same schedule. So let's find out what other interview phases, maybe you tell me about yourself, or maybe a negotiation, salary, or why did you leave your last job? I don't know. Let's think about it. But thanks a lot, Carlos. I just want to say thanks to everyone. And tomorrow we have someone invited, and I hope these are hard times. So I hope we all go through, and then we have good memories about this and how we spent some time together on distance, but with the same object in mind. And we can share experience, and we can remember the hard times were not so difficult working we all together. If you go to a job interview and people ask you, what did you do on this time? Tell them I was learning English. I was on learning about customer satisfaction and KPI performance, because this is what you're doing on a daily basis. See you tomorrow morning. And we have shared this link. Is about Mr. Javier Lanes. And if you want me to provide you with the PowerPoint presentation that we shared today, let me please share this and make a good comment about my training. I would really appreciate from all of you. So share this and say that might be helpful for someone. If you see someone posting his resume and he said, I'm looking for a job, ask him or invite him to come. Everyone is welcome. Carlos.
Thank you, Filiberto. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Have a great week.
See you next week.
Thank you. See you.
Thank you so much, Carlos.
Thank you.
Bye.
Pleasure.
Blessings.
Gracias, Fili.
Ayúdenme a
Gracias,
compartir
Filiberto.
esto, por favor.
Pongo
Ayúdenme a
el
compartir y les
último.
comparto la presentación. Este último
Claro.
y les doy la presentación de hoy.
Ahorita lo voy a compartir, Filiberto.
Perfecto. Muchas
No
gracias,
lo
Fili.
dudo.
Julio,
Gracias
César.
a todos
Bye.
por su apoyo.
Mañana nos vemos. Gracias.
Gusto.
Dios lo bendiga.
Amén.